Hello, Oracles. Well, can Tesla stock break out from its current level? It has been dancing around this $122 to $123 level for the last couple of weeks. Just can't seem to shake it. We got massive price cuts in the vehicles last Friday. We saw the stock price drop, and then it rebounded right back up to that $122 level. So here we are after a long holiday weekend. We are back at the market. Let's see what's going to happen. We have the PPI data that is coming out tomorrow. That may swing the market one way or the other. And we will get into more of that in just a minute. All right, so as of the time of this recording, the entire market is a little bit in the red. Tesla is down about 0.5%. So again, with PPI data coming out tomorrow, we are looking at year-over-year expectations of 6.8%. Previously, we had 7.4%. So we are still moving in the right direction. Inflation is still coming down, but let's see if it can come down any faster. Those are the estimates and the expectations. For year-over-year, the estimation is negative 0.1%. This is what we saw in the CPI. Previously last month, the PPI month-over-month was 0.3%. So that would be a very large drop. This is something that Elon has been speaking about when it comes to future costs. He is seeing future costs of materials coming down dramatically. So if that is going to be happening across the board, we may see deflationary pressures coming in faster than the Fed expected. So tonight we will be having Nick Gibbs on the channel. We're going to be discussing a lot of the macro environment and how that's going to be affecting Tesla in the future going forward. We've seen all of these price cuts happening. So are the cost reductions with PPI and everything else going to truly affect that in the future, thereby allowing Tesla to have larger margins down the road than a lot of people anticipate? You know, Elon said before that taking the company down to 0% margins is on the radar. So is he really going to take it down to 0% margins, or are they actually reducing costs of materials along the way so that they're actually not taking 0% margins on their vehicles? We'll discuss some of that tonight, and then of course on the Q4 earnings call, we'll get more of that data and info coming in to show us how the price cuts that they did last quarter actually affected margins this quarter. That will give us a good indication as to what we can see for Q1 earnings and then Q2 earnings, and then if costs keep on getting reduced after that, we will get a better gauge on margins going forward. So we'll dive into that tonight, along with a lot of other macro signals that we're seeing out there when it comes to banks. We've got bank earnings that are coming out. We've got tech earnings that are starting this week with Netflix coming out on the 19th. So Thursday kicks off with Netflix, and then we've got Tesla next Wednesday. What I find to be funny is the fact that people are valuing Tesla like a car company, but they have earnings during tech week. I know, doesn't make sense. But I have a feeling we are going to see that valuation catch up eventually down the road, where Tesla does end up being valued like a tech company. This is why we're seeing such a massive disconnect in the stock price now. Now, one of the things that I have noticed when it comes to all of these price cuts for Tesla, we did a video last night talking about just that and how, everybody does price cuts. Prices aren't as transparent in any other company as they are with Tesla. You get what you get. So Tesla's prices fluctuate with the market. That's how it is. They don't fluctuate customer to customer. So you're not just sitting there talking to a dealership and haggling prices, and you may get a better price or a worse price than the guy who is sitting next to you. It's not how Tesla works. If the market says, hey, prices need to come down, guess what? Prices come down. If the market says, oh, there's more demand, we need prices to go up, guess what? Prices go up. That's just how it works when it comes to Tesla, and there's going to be a lot of other companies who are going to end up taking on this business model moving forward. Ford has already spoken about doing just that. They're going to do a more direct sales model like this, where their dealerships aren't going to be true dealerships anymore. They're going to be more like service centers and a place where you can go to maybe test drive one of their vehicles, talk to somebody and answer some questions, but the price is going to be what the price is. That's just it. So even Ford is moving in that direction, and I have no doubt there are going to be many other companies moving in this direction as well. And so when it comes to price cuts, we are already seeing other companies and manufacturers doing this. XPENG just cut their prices by up to $5,300 over in China. So we are seeing that with XPENG over there. I have no doubt we are going to start seeing that here in the US. The Ford Mach-E is most likely going to be coming down on prices. Now we do have to remember when it comes to the Mach-E, they are just starting to ramp up. So they're sort of where Tesla was a couple of years ago, where they may not even be able to produce enough vehicles to meet demand. So for them to come down on prices may not make sense because they already have enough demand. They don't need to bring any more in. So we will take a look and see how Ford handles all of this moving forward. But you have to remember there's now a massive price discrepancy between the Mach-E and the Model Y. Because right now the Mach-E is around $63,000, but the Model Y 5-seat with the EV tax credit is around that $46,000 mark. So that's a $17,000 difference between those two vehicles. Now again, if Ford is selling everything that they can possibly produce, then they may not come down on prices. So they're the ones who are going to make that decision, and we'll just have to wait and see. But Tesla right now, because they are producing so many vehicles, they can drop those prices and still continue to pump all of these out and get them delivered. And so I think 2023 is going to end up leading to, a massive price war when it comes to all of these automotive makers, because we're going to have Tesla, who right now has taken offense. They are leading the way, saying, you know what? We're dropping the prices. This is what they're going to be at. Let's see what everyone else has. We truly don't know what Tesla's margins are going to be right now. There's numbers like 21 to 24% getting thrown around out there based upon these price cuts here in the US and over in China. So if those margins do come down to that level, we then look at all of the other manufacturers. XPENG was already at very low to negative margins on their vehicles prior to these price cuts. So this is going to be cutting into their already negative margins that they have. They were negative $1.2 billion last year. So if they're already at negative, and anybody else who is producing EVs right now is not producing them at a margin, or if they are, it's very little, it makes me wonder how they are going to handle this over the course of this year. Elon has already spoken about many companies going into bankruptcy. We may end up seeing mergers going on as well. I thought about this previously. Going into 2025, 2026, we may see some acquisitions happening here and there. It might actually happen sooner than that. We might end up seeing mergers, because if a company like, let's say, a GM or a Ford wants to acquire another company, they also need to have money to be able to do that. If we are going into a time where margins are going to be even lower and they have to take price cuts on their own vehicles, with what money are they going to be able to make this acquisition? If they end up borrowing money, it's going to be very high interest. So is it actually going to be worth their while to make that acquisition? So we will see how this year plays out, but just some questions that I'm rattling around in the back of my head as this year plays on, as we see this pricing war battle happening. And you guys can let me know down in the comments below, what do you think is going to happen with this pricing war this year? Who do you think is going to win? And what do you think Tesla's margins truly are with all of these price cuts? Do you think Tesla bringing down the prices as they are really is going to bury the competition? Or do you think that the competition is going to be able to squeak through on this? And so taking a look again at the stock to see if Tesla is going to break out from this $122 to $123 level, I took a look at crypto. Crypto over the weekend did jump up quite a bit. As of the time of this recording, it's not crashing down. There's still a few hours before the market opens, but there have been times where over long weekends we saw crypto running up. Crypto had been a leading indicator for quite a while last year, but sometimes on the long weekends, it would come crashing down early morning and then indicated that the stock market was going to follow suit similarly. So we will see how the market trades today based upon that information, but Tesla breaking out from this level, again, we have the PPI data coming out tomorrow. CPI was not a surprise one bit whatsoever. And then the Netflix earnings. When Netflix had their earnings last January, that is really what triggered the big market collapse that happened through all of 2022. So will that happen again this time? Will we get the opposite effect? We will wait and find out. And then, of course, we have Tesla's earnings next week. The week after that, we have the FOMC meeting. As of right now, looks like and sounds like we might be getting a 25 basis point hike versus a 50 basis point hike. We will wait and find out more information on that as we draw closer to that time, and we'll see what happens there. So again, Nick Gibbs and I will be speaking tonight about a lot of that and how we think the macro environment is going to be playing out over the next year. And again, it's nothing to be bearish about Tesla or the economy or anything. It's more about just being realistic in the near term about what we can see play out. Very similar to what we saw last year, where you just have to understand what's happening outside of the Teslaverse itself to see how it's actually going to affect the Teslaverse. That's really all it comes down to, and that's what we're going to discuss tonight, because both of us are very bullish on Tesla long term. It's just a matter of what are we going to be going through over the next year to deal with until we get to that point where Tesla can really take off. And will what happens this year actually allow Tesla to grow even faster afterwards? And one last thing, I did want to ask your guys' opinion on something. So I was kind of called out over on Twitter for the thumbnail for my video last night about angry Tesla customers. I know for those of you who watched it, you noticed that I was not bearish on Tesla at all. It was more about showing how, Tesla isn't the only one who does this. As a matter of fact, they're the only one who's actually transparent with their pricing, whereas everyone else, you're not going to get that transparency, and your car is going to depreciate almost as much the moment it drives off the lot. But I was called out over on Twitter by Big Tesla about the fact that my thumbnail kind of seemed negative and bearish. So I'm open to suggestions. I'm trying to improve the channel and the content at all times. So if there's something that perhaps maybe I need to put out there and word it differently to be more appealing, or maybe something to swing the sentiment, please let me know in the comments below. Again, this is more of a growth thing for me, so you guys can be brutally honest with me down there. I appreciate that, because that's what's going to help me become better as well. So I'm looking for some criticism and critiquing on my thumbnails. I know I'm not perfect. Of course I'm not. I can always improve. So whatever you guys give me for suggestions, please let me know so I can improve upon these. I'm not going to cater to anyone else just because they don't feel good about it. I'm going to do what I feel is true and right for me. However, if I can convey my message in a different way that appeals and conveys that message in a better manner, I will absolutely do that. So let me know in the comments below on that one. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for all of your support. Please like and subscribe if you have not done so already, and we will see you in the next one.